there is that's probably what did you say was Dennis, this
Dennis.
guy?
Yeah.
Probably the bit between Pacting and Monjo might have been what he felt was a bit difficult. But
Yeah.
but it's the thing is the difficulty is kind of like balanced out by the beauty. It's not so difficult that you can't do it. And there's tons of places to sit down and rest. There's tons of places to stop and have a cup of tea if you need to.
Mm.
There's always going to be a guide with the person coming last. There'll
Hmm.
be a guide with a person at the front so you don't get lost, and there'll be guides in the middle. So I think you were having, what, two guides? One guide for every two people. Is that what you said?
No, it's usually like you said, we've got the guide at the front and the guide at the back, and then there's no y y- the middle people are sort of spread out organically, and then whenever there's sort of a fork or like some kind of directional decision that needs to be made, there will be a guide waiting for people to tell people,
To
okay,
make sure they get there the
yeah,
right
go
way.
this way. Yeah, it's pretty organic. I mean, it's like that when you go bushwalking, like you just sort of walking along the trail, and then if the trail gets a bit weird or covered, there'll be a signpost, and the guides are always there. They're just like these angels that just appear, they appear as to tell us where to go. They appear with a cup of tea. They appear,
I know.
they appear.
Up here with dinner.
Yeah, with like they're amazing. Like they're so caring and in terms of pace, it is fairly organic and they're very understanding. Like if you think you're a slow walker, I usually walk at the back actually. So you're not going to be. It is of course more enjoyable to be a little bit fitter or to have had some practice doing walking. Even Venerable Rabina was walking up and down Kopan stairs for the first time. Um, but then she also realized that she would do a lot of flat walking, and then when because of the mountains, as soon as she took one or two steps uphill, it really does make a big difference in those conditions. So it does make it more enjoyable if you kind of like walking, of course, or if you have like some kind of walking practice that you've started. But I think it's just really for anybody. I mean, it's not like we're trail runners, or anything like that.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have super athletes coming. But I think the benefit would be for people if they have strength in their quads and their calves and some kind of a little bit of maybe body awareness, it would make it, like you said, far more enjoyable.
Hmm.
So I think, walking uphill, practicing going on hikes uphill would be helpful. But really, I don't think it's necessary if you don't want to. It just will make it easier for you but the pace that we're going is 4 hours a day, except for when you
On
go up to
average.
Namche,
Yeah.
average of
It can
four
be a
hours a
bit
day.
less as well. Like the first day, people generally we get there by lunchtime, and then it's really just that hill, that
It
big
could be
hill.
like 3 hours. Yeah. And I'd say from Pacting to Monjo's probably 4 or 3, would you say? I don't know. But it depends on how, if
It
you
just
want to
depends
stop
on the
and
pace. We have had ultra runners come, and then we've also had
mm,
just people who don't really not athletic at all. Like I did the pilgrimage in 2024, and someone did it in Birkenstocks. So yeah, just
really?
sandals. Yeah. And I said, "Where are your shoes?" And she just said, "I'm not really into exercise." I said,
Oh
"Okay."
no.
But she just, I mean, it's really what you're comfortable in. I mean, in speaking of shoes, Venerable Rabin, I think someone offered her some hiking boots, and then she ended up just wearing approach shoes, which is like really light, and they were just too heavy for her, the hiking boots.
I think, yeah, the my Tibetan doctor over there just said don't wear heavy hiking boots because you don't need them on that particular trek, really.
Mm,
Um, he said the heavier the hiking boots, the more pressure on the knee. And
mm,
also remembering that every piece of weight you put on yourself in the mountains gets quite a bit heavier at altitude. So if you've got a lighter shoes, lighter backpack, lighter walking sticks, you're going to be feel a little bit better
mm.
if you're weighed down. So Venerable Rabina, I think she said when the first time she went up there, she was kind of anxious. It's Ling recently, and she said she spent hours looking for all the different types of trekking shoes that could be possibly you could possibly buy. And she said it was so confusing because there's so many different
Yes.
things. But what I would advise people to get is something with a bit of Gore-Tex in it because if it's going to rain, maybe if it is going to rain, then you don't want wet shoes. But
Mm.
I don't know that. Yeah, I feel it's also good to have shoes when you get up there that you can kind of kind of like Crocs or something that you can just kind of rock around in up there that you don't really need your trekking shoes up at Lawudo, but it would be good to have a comfortable pair of shoes to rest in at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But you don't need that either, really. But I think so then what do? We go up the next morning we'll go up to Namche Bazaar up the Namche Hill. So what I did the first time I went up there is I looked on YouTube and I found a video of this woman going up the Namche Hill who was kind of similar age to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if she can go up, if she can do it, I can do it. I
Yeah.
was quite nervous about it the first time. Like I was like, how on earth am I going to manage this hill? But anyway, I told you about the Bodhisattva guide who I was so grateful to go up that. I just didn't know how it was going to work out. Anyway, it worked out beautifully. It was worked out fine.
I
And
think it's
then
just one step at a time. You just
I
go
know,
one
right?
step
It
at a
is.
time.
It
I think
is.
you can
And
get yourself really worried by watching other people, by looking it up. There's so many reasons that, like, so many mental obstacles that if you welcome them into your mind, I think they will just proliferate. Around the airport,
yeah,
around like the diseases, around the conditions, around the walk. So how do you cut through all of that?
I think there's many things you can do to take care of yourself. Like you make sure you're covered. If we were told when we were in Kathmandu last time that dengue fever was around, be careful.
Mm,
So if you know that something's going around, you protect yourself. You put your spray or whatever it is on to protect yourself. You be careful. Um, so you take care of yourself,
So I do have a story about that.
well,
Oh, because I remember, because we were also nervous about Venerable Rabina. We're like, oh gosh, we don't want her to get dengue. And then I remember I bought all this like natural stuff because I didn't think she
she
wanted
didn't
to have
want it.
like chemical. And she just said, Christina, I have not met a mosquito yet on this trip. She's like, where are they? They're not around me. I have not met any mosquitoes. So, I mean, that just was a really big teaching in karma for me, because
Yeah,
I was like, wow, like to not even be put in the position where you have the opportunity to make a decision about killing or not. Because that wasn't really real for me, but that sort of has stuck with me since then that we can purify even not just the tendencies, but the situations that we get put in. Yeah.
it's true. Like if you make a vow to not kill, you are less likely to come across a situation where you have to make that choice. I think though,
From a
there
practical side.
is, huh?
Oh, I thought you were going to go back to like, just because even if you have made that vow, that you should probably still wear long sleeves and put on mozzie
No,
repellent.
exactly. No, totally. I mean, you don't, because it also too, it just kind of wrecks your trip if something like that. But I was so surprised but so definitely tells me about the karma of that particular person. And yeah, it was curious. It was curious that it happened. But I think if you, that's kind of like what we would talk about as being like a sort of a purification, I guess, something
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
What else were you saying? Oh, were you talking about the obstacle? I mean, I think you take precautions. You make sure you have health and you have your insurance
Mm,
and you make sure that make yourself warm enough and you make sure you bring a face mask with you so that if you're in a crowded situation, you don't know who's come from where, just put it on.
mm,
And what, as I'm learning, as I'm getting older, is not to take my health for granted. So, when I'm younger, I've had very little illness in my life. And so, last summer I got quite complacent. I'd not had COVID. I thought I was a novid. And then I was we had every year there's a fair down here in Fairfax. There was like double the population of people that there normally is around. And
Hmm.
a few days later, I came down with COVID, and I was so mad. It stayed with me for like 2 weeks. It's an
Oh yeah,
awful
oh,
thing.
that's awful.
Anyway, yeah, you just got to be sensible. I
Mm.
don't even know what the question was now. Where were you at with
Well,
that?
maybe we can go back to, rather than talking about these sort of short-term, um, uh, these short-term experiences that people have that maybe in the immediate term look like it's sort of negative. What do you think? Have you like what? I don't know if you've stayed in touch with people or even for yourself, if talking about yourself, like what the long-term effects of going to a place like Lawudo has had.
It's the experience. I think a lot of people are seeking an experience. And, for the people that are not necessarily aware of what pilgrimage is, or what it's about up there, but might be looking for an experience. So one of Linda's yoga teachers, she's Italian, she talks about the experience, experience, which is very sweet. So for me personally, the long-term effect is somehow it stays in my mind, the experience of being up there,
Mm,
the expansiveness, the sense of freedom. Once you've kind of experienced that, it never goes away. So you come back, like, how, they talk about everything you see, feel, smell, watch, hear, listen, stays in your mind stream.
hmm.
It's a little bit like that. It stays in your mind stream. You don't lose that experience.
Mm.
You just bring it with you. So, and sometimes even if you don't know what it is you're experiencing, it stays in your mind stream, even if you don't know the blessings you're receiving.
That's what I mean. Because
It's
some people, they won't know necessarily Lama Zopa Rinpoche. I mean, they might have
no,
this connection with the Dharma, but yeah, they don't know Rinpoche or they haven't met him personally. Um, mm, for those people, I mean, like this place is so closely connected with with him and with that lineage, and um, it's not that you have to have that personal connection, but I think you still,
no.
yeah.
And I see the way Anila greets every single person that comes into Laudo. There was one time there was these French mountaineers, and
Mhm.
they were on their way up to some mountain nearby, but they came into Laudo to ask permission to walk up through the property.
Hmm.
And I've lost you again.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I
Okay.
just try to fix the
Um,
video so that I
and
don't distract
she
you.
took care of them exactly the same as anybody else that came through, exactly the same as a student of Lama Zopa Rinpoche that had come through.
Yeah,
She was so it doesn't matter to her who it is. The fact that they're there is enough. And I think that's what people need to understand, is the fact that you've turned up to the pilgrimage and you've kind of putting one foot in front of the other. That's enough. That's really enough. You don't have to be any more than that. Yeah.
that's so beautiful because putting one foot in front of the other is really what we strive to do in life, I think. I was just having this incredible embodied experience of keep moving, not giving up, all of those things.
Just
Um,
keep swimming, isn't it?
yeah,
Just keep swimming.
yes. And to do it, I think for me, whenever I do some kind of retreat, or it started when I first did my first Kopan retreat, and then it's extended into the Laudo treks, that I feel this incredible sense of protection I mean, internal protection where I feel very safe to just be myself, like, drop any hang-ups that I've had. And I think the trek really offers that to people with incredible guides. We didn't really speak, we haven't spoken about your relationship with Charok Lama, how you know each other.
Well,
Um,
I can tell. Before we do that, I just want to go back to what you were saying is one of the things that I was so touched with when I went was in Maui recently when we did our retreat over there. Kind of living in this area, everyone's very well put together mostly. Even the ones who are kind of hippies are still quite well put together.
yeah.
And then you go to Paia downtown, it's one of the little towns in Maui,
Hmm.
and people are just wandering around in flip-flops, no bras, they don't really care how they look. And it's kind of really refreshing. It's like, oh, this is such a relief. So it's kind of, you're going to see a mix of people on the track. I think one of the first times I went up there, of course, I was so badly ill prepared, but there were people on the track who had obviously been shopping before they left home and done a lot of research. And they had all the gear,
Mm.
but you don't need all the gear, you know. And you can trek up there in robes and Birkenstocks. I mean, if it's
Oh, a
raining,
friend of
you
mine
won't
went up
be.
in a suit.
No, no, that was what's his name from Australia because he wanted to be
Jason.
respectful. Huh?
Jason Isma went
Oh,
up there.
Jason, did
Yeah, he went
he?
up there in a suit, and then the following year or 2 years later, Craig went up in a suit.
Craig, because I
Yeah,
know Craig went up. Didn't he go twice?
yeah.
But he went in a suit, which was so sweet because he wanted to be respectful and so gorgeous. Can't have been comfortable trekking in a suit, but
Well, I
anyway.
mean, people do it. I mean,
But
like, so,
you, if
we don't
that's your
Yeah, if
thing,
that's your thing.
so there's no pressure to go with all the best gear and look kind of spiffy. You just wear what you need to wear. And but you've got to be warm and dry and your shoes need to be comfortable.